What's going on, everybody? It's Anthony from #Be the Change. Truth will set you free. Blunt force discussion. But right here, it is Truth Tuesdays, ladies and gents. I'll let you guys take some time to join us. We've got a great episode, and we've got some special guests. Barb and Dave look nothing like they usually do. But Barb apparently got dark hair. What is that called? Brunette became a whatever. That's just proof that I am actually a man. Ryan Weaver looks a little bit like Dave with a hat on. I think that's what that happened, and actually a little bit more muscle mass, maybe. But we, yep. Oh, okay. Things are the same as usual, guys. Do us a huge favor. Start sharing this episode out there. Change the algorithm a bit by saying where you're from. Shannon, you already know what's up. You know how to do this. All right, we're getting a good jump in numbers to start. So keep sharing. Keep telling me where you're from. Christine, what's up? We'll start putting these on the screen. And of course, I'm going to start the episode out while we're waiting for people talking about the Great American Summit coming to Dallas on June 2nd and June 3rd with a little teaser event. If you buy the ticket soon, we have the Dr. Peter McCullough on Thursday night. I know some of our VIPs have changed their flights. They're coming in a little bit early for that. So Dr. Peter McCullough and our kickoff event is that night. Ryan Weaver actually was our musical talent last year. Hoping that we have him again this year. It sounds like we do. He's on the bill. We need you guys to buy tickets. That is the key right now, as well as sponsorship. So we're doing everything we can. I had a great couple calls. Capernaum Studios is coming in. I've got some actual charities that want to actually be a part of this, be a part of a patriotic event that is something different than you've ever been around before. It's community meets patriotism meets business, and it's going to be something very special. And I think I'll have Ryan talk to it just about the experience from last year and being in that room. So I encourage everybody to please be a part of it. Without further ado, I'm going to throw some of your guys' stuff up on the screen, and then we're going to go ahead and get this show started. Keep breaking the algorithm. Keep saying where you're watching from. And then I'll tell you what the show's about to be about. So let's go ahead and get the party started. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for Truth Will Set You Free. On today's episode of Truth Will Set You Free, episode number 129, Donald Trump was not arrested today. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the whole situation. Stormy Daniels, porn star, lawyer in jail, and let's go ahead and arrest Donald Trump. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk also about Xi Jinping and Mr. Putin all of a sudden looking real chummy with a 3-day summit, and then media bias. We're going media bias, ladies and gents, because that's the thing, social media bias and regular media bias. And with that said, it's time to introduce the people on the screen. Kristin, most everybody by now hopefully knows who you are, but go ahead and reintroduce yourself if you can to our audience.
Yeah, I'm your deep blue state conservative. I'm in Portland, Oregon. Just a little thing happening here just yesterday. I'm in a town full of crazies. There was an actual funeral held by a far left activist group. The funeral was for the mask because our mask mandate in medical settings ends on April 3rd. So that's the kind of lunacy we're dealing with here in Portland. So I would say I'm tougher than most.
Wait. You still have to wear a mask if you go into like a doctor's office in Portland?
Yes.
How the fuck have you not moved yet? Sorry, I said the F word before 5 minutes. Sorry.
People ask me this every day, but when my husband has a pension, a really good one, and we are not moving until we collect that baby. So we'll be here 9 more years.
God, you clarified pension. You used a P word with an E, and I was like, your husband's got a pension. Yeah. I don't know which one's bigger. All right, Ryan.
Wow.
Ryan, Mr. Weaver, Black Hawk pilot, veteran musician, voice of the PBR. Ryan, you have and always a phenomenal story too. Go ahead and introduce yourself to this audience if they don't know who you are just yet.
Well, as you said, I'm a country music artist, former Black Hawk Aviator, retired, member of a 2-time Gold Star family, motivational speaker, partner brand entrepreneur, all that kind of stuff. All that, we all got our groove on once we got out of the military, found our own niche. Mine just happened to be country music. But yeah, it's an honor to get on here with you, man. You and I think we've done a couple of events together and really clicked. When I heard I had an opportunity to come onto your show, I was excited. Barb, you told me that she was going to be on here tonight, obviously with me, but I'm happy to be on here with you either way. It's good stuff.
Well, you're filling a very firm pantsuit, so it's good that we're good that we have you on here.
Much taller leg pantsuit than me as well.
That's very valid, very true. Ryan and I have done a couple events together, veterans events. We did the Great American Summit the first year, and then another event regarding veterans down in like San Antonio area. We always hit it off really well. Ryan is not just a phenomenal musician. He always brings fun to an event, and he's just a genuinely good dude, like across the board for somebody that's gone through so much stuff. And if you ever want to know more about his story, just look at his social media and just look at what he speaks about. And it's phenomenal what he's gone through and how he still is so dedicated to this country and dedicated to creating change. He also makes phenomenal memes on social media as well. Ryan, before we really start the show, you were at the event last year. And if you could tell people a little bit about it. And again, you and I will be talking a little bit. I know you talked to Barb about hopefully making sure that we can make sure you guys are there. But what was so great about the event the first year that you were there?
Well, I mean, first and foremost, you got to hear about the hard work that the Great American Syndicate put into making that event happen and getting incredible speakers and entertainment. I mean, I don't want to say toot on horn on saying that, but we had some amazing painting and different things done to raise a significant amount of money for who was the nonprofit last year?
One of them was Randy Sutton's, the police nonprofit.
Yes, the Wounded Blue. Wounded Blue. That's right. Yep.
There was one other one as well. I'm drawing a blank on the name. This year it's Carry the Load and Texas Music Project. Those are the two this year.
So it's a multi faceted event. You're getting some of the most incredible speakers that you're going to find in the country. Martha Krajcik was there. Dave Webb was there. Cash was there. You were there. Ian was there. Wenster. I mean, we just had so many awesome speakers and just incredibly inspirational speakers. I think one of the best things about the event was that it was just post-COVID, and they were trying to get everything, settled out with that because it kept getting extended from the stupidity out of DC and, what was caused and all the problems was really, like I said, the stupidity and not the reality of the situation. But we had an awesome event. Had a lot of folks that came to really get inspired. The patriotic side of America is strong, and a lot of folks out there really feel that they can't speak out as much as they used to. It was definitely a forum for folks to be able to, like-minded folks that love this country, want to do amazing things to bring this country back to its greatness again after the last 2 years of being destroyed by this administration and the Democrats out there, and some Republicans in that regard as well. But I loved it. And one of the things that, folks, if you're watching now, I want to put this plug out there right away. My band performed last year. We did a full-on concert for the attendees at the event. We got to blow the roof off the place. It was so much fun, and we want to do it again. We want to give folks a little something special and a live concert from, I guess I would consider myself a national level artist, maybe not top 40 independent artist, but either way, you get to know who I am because I will be one of the speakers in the lineup, but then we also get to party together, and I'll bring the full band down there, but we need a music sponsor. We need an entertainment sponsor for that. Last year, we had an incredible entertainment sponsor, Bonnie out of Arizona. She's a great friend of mine. She flew in just to be an entertainment sponsor for that event and to give a little information about her nonprofit as well. If you folks out there want to be the entertainment sponsor, there's a pretty darn good VIP package that comes along with that. Some really neat behind the scenes stuff that you'll get to see. And they really, Barb and them really know how to treat everybody well, very, very well, that take care of the folks there. And we'd love to have you involved in the event as well.
100%. And just reach out to this page. You can reach out to Ryan directly, and yep. We'll put your social media on the bottom. I'll correct that on the bottom. But that's the gist of it, guys. And if you just want tickets and you're in Dallas or you want to donate tickets, anything like that, just go to greatamericansummit.com and do GAS23 at checkout, and that'll get you 10% off. There's different ranges of tickets. But again, we're still looking for help. It's about 7-8 weeks away. With that, Chris, K-Sock, are you going to make it down? Are you going to come down?
Oh, I don't know. It's tough for me to get out of here these days.
Do you have to put on like a gas mask just to get into the airport there or what?
I'm surprised we're not wearing them on the airports here.
I'm surprised you don't have to wear it on screen while you're like, oh, you're filming in Portland? Go ahead and put a mask on.
You would think. People still wear them everywhere.
Starting with a little comedy. Have you guys?
Oh, no. And we lose you.
I'm glad it's not me this time.
No. The thing that's funny is he messaged us on the side. Is my internet okay? We're all like, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Russo, where you back? Maybe?
Yeah. I don't know what is going on. This has been once an hour in the last like 3 weeks with my ridiculously fast fiber internet. Anyways, have you guys seen the Fauci going house to house going, hey, did you take your vaccine? Why are you not taking your vaccine? Have you guys seen this idiocy?
It's pretty freaking awesome. The dude owns him. I mean, he absolutely owns him. He has to get in the truck and take some Xanax or something at the end of it. I was laughing my ass off about that one.
Oh my God. It's the fact that they have to pay essentially these people to like go house to house, and then they shoot video of it, and then somehow the videos that didn't go as planned are just now being unearthed, unsurfaced. It's like, really? I mean, and then you've got the other one with Muriel Bowser in the basement where they're both talking to and he's like, and Muriel Bowser and him are talking, and she's like, when is this going to fix? And he's like, well, these Republican states, I don't know what we're going to do. They're going to keep it going forever. And it's like, oh my God, dude, how could the science be so wrong? All right, guys, let's start talking first off with Trump not being arrested. I think first off, raise of hands. How many of you guys thought that Donald Trump would actually be arrested today, like they said?
I have to be honest with you. I was actually hoping for it.
And why? Okay, let's start there. Why were you hoping for it?
Because I know that shit was going to hit the fan as soon as he did get arrested, and in a good way. And I think that we have a lot of complacent folks out there right now that are sitting back and being quiet, and they know that everything's being taken away from us. And that is a perfect opportunity for folks to really get vocal about the way that this country is going in the wrong direction under this administration. And I think that, I mean, it's a misdemeanor and it's bullshit. All that aside, we know it's all bullshit, but having said that, I'm allowed to say bullshit, right? I'm just saying. Okay,
you are allowed to say fucking bullshit. Yes. But
having said that, I just think it would have been a power moment to guarantee Trump a landslide presidency in 2024. That's just my opinion.
You know, a lot of people have said that like, all right, if we have the imagery of him being arrested in handcuffs, that's a guaranteed lock. And I get the point of that, a guaranteed lock, that he would win the presidency. I get the point of that because this is such a ridiculous $130,000 lawsuit, hush money to a porn star. Like, if it was something major, if like they found something in those documents at Mar-a-Lago, if it was something along those lines, there was a real reason to arrest him. I don't think so. I think this being so ridiculously petty would have been a perfect example. At the same time, does that actually show where we are as a country, where there's so much political gamesmanship that it's like, let's arrest an ex-president for something that happened before his presidency that was beyond minuscule, where the lawyer that tried the case, by the way, went to my high school, is now in jail for being a crooked lawyer, not just like disbarred, but in jail. This is where we are as a country, and it's really kind of scary to me. K-Stock or Casey?
Well, I'm curious. Who said Donald Trump's going to be arrested?
Trump and the liberal media. And the
Did they say that before or after Donald Trump said he was going to be arrested?
I actually don't know that answer.
No one said he was going to be arrested until he put it on Truth Social. Everybody said he would be indicted this week, but no one said he would be arrested. He came out on Truth Social and said, "I will be arrested on Tuesday," or something along those lines. Not that exact same thing, but he is the only one to turn this situation into saying he will be arrested.
When it comes to indictments, what's the rule? I mean, can you be indicted without ever making your way into a precinct?
No.
Well, this one, it looks like there's talks today that he is being considered, they might be able to do it virtually.
So I looked up the difference, because there are a lot of folks out there that don't know the difference between an indictment and a charge. And I think that's one of the things that needs to be clarified to the public out there, so that they can be educated when they're actually talking about an indictment or a charge. So essentially, with the indictment, they have they assign the grand jury to it, but it's being run by the prosecutor. So the prosecutor is essentially running a mock trial to test whether what he feels should be a charge against Trump. He's running this mock trial as a test for it, and if the grand jury recommends the charges, then the prosecutor will charge Trump with a charge, as opposed to him just being indicted. So there are two different ways of doing that. There's no judge involved in any of this, which I also think is a bunch of bullshit, because straight up, the judge could see that there was not enough evidence to even start the grand jury process, and could throw the whole trial out and say, you know what, you guys are full of it. He's not going to be charged on this, whatever it may be. But the prosecutor didn't feel strongly enough that he had enough information that he could potentially sway a bunch of people by creating the perception that there is a large enough problem there that he could be charged for it. So if everybody's confused about how that process works, it actually becomes a more legitimate situation if the grand jury recommends charges and they actually do indict Trump. It makes it more of a legitimate sale from the prosecutor to the public and to a judge to continue with the trial. And when I found out about it, I was like, okay, we keep hearing about indictments by Congress. You keep hearing about all this kind of stuff, and nothing ever happens to folks. An indictment can come down, but the grand jury can vote against charging Trump. So they could say they believe that there is enough, potentially enough evidence to charge him, but they didn't feel that there was enough to formally charge him with whatever, the stupid, hush money charge. Yeah. I mean, that's it may seem a little bit confusing, but it's actually pretty simple, but two different situations.
Is it, as you've looked into it, Ryan, is there any real evidence? Because we always say this, like, we use these speaking points. The right is just as guilty often as the left. That we keep saying the Soros-funded DA, Alvin Bragg. Is there evidence that he was getting Soros money when he was running, when he was whatever it was to get that position? How do we know that this is truly a Georgie boy kind of person?
I don't necessarily know the answer to that question, but as far as the what I thought you were going to ask me, I already had the answer in my head. Cohen, the information that he has, even the mainstream media is saying that they don't know whether his information is ironclad or not. And if the mainstream media, which just straight up lies about pretty much everything, can't legitimately say that, yes, he's got evidence that will convict Trump and that kind of, I have a feeling that they're also running scared from this, because Trump can come back with a libel lawsuit and, take them, like, what was the kid's name that it took them all for millions upon millions of dollars when the Native American got in his face?
What's
250 million.
Right.
250 million. Yeah. And I'm surprised that Rittenhouse hasn't gotten there yet. He's actually still struggling to clear his name in a lot of ways. Casey, you looking it up right now?
Yeah, I'm trying to find his name.
It's like, I feel like it's a 4-letter name. It's a 4-letter first name. While we're at it, Teresa, I appreciate you. Thank you. I know you pop in once in a while and give us a few bones. So I appreciate it, Teresa. You're the woman. You're the woman of the evening. Nick Sandman.
There you go. Yeah.
Okay, Casey, you're fired. Eric is hired. Awesome.
He's Canadian.
Nice.
He doesn't count.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't know Rittenhouse got 20 million from The View. I didn't know
No,
that.
no, he did not.
I mean, I think he's suing for that. But anyways,
No.
So with this whole thing, so again, the Soros, I mean, with their great speaking points, and it's good to say that, think that, but is this? There's so many different weird things. There's no reason he should be getting arrested for this. That's problem number one. Because yes, as a former president, there's a lot of different things that we could look at Obama for. You could look at like the potential that Hillary could have had, and then you've got Trump. There's real things that you might be able to indict. This one is so ridiculous. Kristin, what do you think?
Yeah, it is. And so while everyone else was focusing on this, I was focusing on more local things happening. I feel a lot like these national, international news items that are happening. I know this is a big deal, but I feel like it's a smokescreen to point us in one direction while a million other things are happening and we lose focus. So for me, and I just don't know, I can scratch my head on this one all day long. But I just don't know. I didn't think he was going to be arrested just because it seemed highly improbable that they would do that. Doesn't mean unlikely, but I'm just sitting back and watching things and reading articles. That's where I'm at with this. And while I was sitting back focusing on local issues, I was able to uncover an informant with a local railroad who told me some crazy information about how really high up the ladder they were basically directed to no longer do inspections on the railroads here in Washington State, right? My neighbor right next door to Oregon here. So I've been diving into that while everything else is unfolding. So it's a lot. It's very interesting, but again, not my number one focus right now. That might be surprising to some.
Yeah. Casey, I'm going to have you answer, but also part of the answer I'm curious about is it's interesting that this is a charge that they're even potentially, I'm going to say allegedly, potentially considering to indict, arrest based on the way Ryan explained it. It's interesting that they're even considering this, being the fact that New York is a place where they let actual criminals go completely free, zero cash bail, or don't even charge them. And yet we're thinking of hush money to a prostitute 8 years ago for $130,000. I find this odd. Do you think that's odd? And what are your general thoughts?
My general thoughts are if he broke a law, then he should be held accountable for the law. But I doubt he broke any laws. We went through 4 years of these shenanigans when he was a president. Like, they try to find anything they can. But if he did break a law, then hold him accountable to it. But I don't see that it happened. The part that I see with this whole thing is they were hoping they could go through this process and drag it out and take it out for so long they could run his name through mud for months. What I've come to the conclusion of today that I'm really thinking is now that Trump's not really getting arrested today, supposedly it's tomorrow, indicted next week, I don't know. We'll see. But it is just keeping Trump's name in the books, talked about, and so everybody keeps talking about him. And so it's making people get behind him even more. It's even happening in a group here in Utah. We have a big rally on Saturday that everybody's coming together. I'm going to be there. And most of you know I don't support Trump. I'm okay with what he did, but I'm not voting for him. And if it came down to it, I might consider that.
In the primary, to be clear. If he gets the Republican nomination, I'm assuming you're voting for him.
We'll see when we get there.
Is there really going to be a libertarian worth a damn? Probably
no,
not.
But if there is, to get more than 5% of the vote to where they can get government funding and they can actually compete with Republicans and Democrats, I would rather do that.
Oh, we are going to have a whole big brawl when it comes down to primary.
We do every major election.
Yeah. So real quick, the whole actual charges, and that's what I'm like, what can the actual charges be? So I'm on Real Clear Politics. They're talking about, so the lawyer on staff said that the likely charges against Donald Trump would be potentially this. 8 years ago, as he was running for president, Trump paid porn actress Stormy Daniels $130,000. Now, with that said, Daniels alleged that she and Trump at one point had sex. Trump denies this. He still denies this, but in exchange for promising not to repeat that claim in public, Trump, through his then attorney, Michael Cohen, who was kind of the smoking gun in this instance, sent Stormy Daniels a check. Is this legal? Technically, because there was a campaign in progress at the time, officials at the Federal Election Commission later examined the transaction between Trump and Stormy Daniels. Federal investigators concluded that nothing criminal had taken place. And in fact, sentiments like this, whatever you think of them, are actually common between famous people. I color us not surprised. Celebrities and corporate America. The result is usually known as an NDA, and this is even in the world of a political climate of an election, this is legal. So what could the crime possibly be here?
I said it. They're saying that he potentially falsified his business records or violated campaign finance law in a process. It's interesting because I'm sitting here looking at PolitiFact justifying Bill Clinton's payment to
Monica.
to Paula Jones.
Oh, Paula, yeah.
And they're saying that it's significantly different that Trump did this because he wrote a check while he was in a presidential campaign, but Bill Clinton wrote a personal check in a legal settlement to make sure that she kept her mouth shut. So it's different. It's different. If Trump wrote something out of because they're saying he funneled it through his lawyer, that's what makes it different. It's the whole thing is just fucking stupid.
Because it could be campaign finances. And I'm sorry, I said
potentially. You're right. Potentially, yeah.
Monica's only payment was a glass of milk. Anyways, no.
And a cigar.
Okay. All right. So yeah. So again, the way that it could be is because he could have been using campaign finances to pay his lawyer on retainer. Maybe that's part of it. Again, if you ask MSNBC, he should be crucified. That's the only thing that I can see.
If I can add something to this, I think that it's absolutely hypocritical, and it's just every time I watch something happen where they're going after Trump again, you see the stuff that we know with the whole Biden scandal and Hunter goes on, but then you got to watch the White House press secretary justify the DC crime bill that they're trying to put out right now, where they are lessening. They're lessening the most hardened criminals' sentences for murder and rape. They're justifying that behind the podium in front of in front of global television. But here we are watching these headlines about something so incredibly freaking stupid. It's just dumb. Yeah. The whole thing is just dumb.
I thought Jen Psaki was bad, but watching this chick, it always feels like it's really close to her face, and she kind of just keeps blinking through it. She's like, well, Peter. At the end of the day, it's almost like Porky Pig when she does the thing, and it drives me batshit crazy. The last thing I will say is I'm going to be doing some promoting for Great American Summit at the Trump event in Waco. So if he would have thought he was going to be arrested, did he just think he was going to go in and out? I'm assuming that's what he assumed. It was just going to be for the photo op, but. Trump is supposed to be having a rally in Waco on Saturday. If anybody's from Texas, I'll be there. And by the way, I know you're close to there, Barbara. It's free. You don't have to pay for tickets. You just have to go register and get there super, super early. If you've never been to a Trump rally, it is something to see. I will tell you that 100%. Next topic. Let's go into media bias. Kristin, I'm going to let you, because you and I were talking about this a little bit. I'm going to let you start this topic, and then we'll get into it more.
Okay, cool. So last week I had a guest on my show, and for those who are not super familiar with Watergate, I know this was in the 70s, but in prepping for this guest, I watched a lot of documentaries on Watergate and learned so much. And so much of it is so relevant today. So the main thing that I took away from it that I really wanted to share was when you think about Watergate, really, we know there was an informant who we know as Deep Throat. I don't know why they named him that, but that was his name. So Deep Throat was the informant, and he was in charge of the FBI investigative department. And so with this, he was working with the Washington Post. So he was their informant. He gave them a ton of information because he truly felt like he was righting this wrong. He knew about things that were happening that weren't right. And so he spoke out on it. What the Washington Post did, though, is they used bits and pieces of his story and they painted a narrative. And this narrative was so powerful that Nixon, who was reelected 49 out of 50 states voted him in, he ended up resigning 2 years in largely because of the Washington Post's reporting. And so it was really, when you think of a political bias or a media bias, this really paved the way for what we are seeing on a very large scale today. Now, some would argue that that JFK also, that the media around that time, but really because of the Washington Post and their reporting, and them failing to include all of it in order to paint a narrative, they really paved the way for what we see today.
So I think we think that this modern media is ever since Trump started using the catchphrase fake news, that this is a new thing. And I'm going to respectfully disagree. I think we're starting to see now that this road work has been paved for a very, very long time. And we look at Russia, we look at China, we look at the state-sponsored media, and we go, how dare they? Our country, we're a free country. We got free media. We got First Amendment. And I think we're starting to see that that's eroded beneath the ground in front of us. But I think it's been happening for a lot longer than we think. And I've heard very similar things regarding the Watergate scandal being potentially blown a little bit out of proportion and almost a setup. They didn't want him in there. Some of this had ties still to the whole situation around JFK, Cuban Missile Crisis.
We lost him again.
We lost him again.
Dude, really?
Well, I'll jump in before he gets back on. The Washington Post had ties to the DNC. And so it makes sense that they were in bed with them. And so they wanted to paint the narrative that was good for the DNC.
Yeah.
Welcome back.
I don't know what the frig is going on. Like, this is back like when I used to have shitty dial-up internet, and now I've got this has been happening. I need to restart the box anyways, moving on. But yeah, I feel like it's very odd that we're in a country that is do you think would you go as far as saying we do actually have a fully state-sponsored media in this country?
I would. Absolutely. I mean, if people haven't heard of the Five Eyes Alliance, dive into that.
What's the five? Give us a teaser, KSOC.
Yeah, it's basically where certain countries, and this was started around the Cold War. So I had Dr. Malone on a couple weeks back, and we really dove into this. But the Five Eyes Alliance is basically, again, started during the Cold War to ensure that there was this front, that everyone was reporting the same. Everyone was ensuring. When I say everyone, these certain countries were ensuring media was the same note, the same tone, right? And so there's this alliance that more and more countries have joined, and it's still in place today. Again, started during the Cold War, probably had good intentions initially, but now completely taken advantage of.
Yeah, 100%. Kim, thank you very much. As always, Kim, by the way, a special shout out to Kim. She ended up donating a bunch of money so that 20 veterans could go to the event. So she's going to be at the Great American Syndicate, and she did a donation to give away 20 tickets. So thank you so much, Kim. And thanks for always supporting. So, and her story, just the reason behind it, not gonna lie, I'm a crier, as I think I've told you. I cried in the car. It was a fantastic, just thank you, Kim. And then Barb and I cried together. All right. So with it being state-sponsored media, and Ryan, all of us have dealt with. Casey gets banned off Facebook all the time because he says dumb shit, just like like he just does clapbacks where he says one bad word. Ryan, KSOC, and I tend to push the envelope of what the masses consider as truth. Do you think
what's wrong with saying you want to punch a legislator in the face?
Well, see, that's why you get taken off of Facebook. You have to have a little bit more self-control. Brian, you faced social media suppression for a while. KSOC, you didn't face it as bad until the Hunter Biden photo with the balloons. Brian, how important do you think it is for them to silence the independent style journalists on social media?
Well, I think that once the moment that you start seeing someone on social media actually telling the truth and trying to get the truth out there. The truth is what's killing them. Not killing me as, you know, the person that's putting it out there. It's killing the people. It's getting rid of that false narrative that's out there, and people open their eyes to it, and being loud about it. You know, I comment on Don Jr.'s page all the time, and there are a lot of times that I do it to intentionally poke the teddy bear. I intentionally say things to piss people off, and you know, I do that because it helps with engagement and growing my page, because it's always like-minded people that agree with me, and that's the people that I want on my page anyway. Something off to the side, I'm gonna go off on a tangent here. A lot of folks don't realize what when they're on social media, they don't realize what how the top comment becomes the top comment. They haven't figured that out yet, especially the trolls, because they always think that I'm the first person to comment on Don Jr.'s page, and I'm not. I could be the 1,000th person, the 1,500th person to comment on his page. The comments underneath my comment that always get it to be the top engaged comment, and that's how it ends up on top. So people see my comment first all the time, unless Instagram decides that they want to put my comment down, which I've seen that happen before. They'll move it down in the feed so people aren't even seeing it, because I've seen that happen before. But having said that, with 950 something likes a month and losing 1,000 people a month on Instagram, most of which are people that have been following me for quite some time, and then all of a sudden I don't show up in their feed, it's evident that when someone starts putting the truth out there, in context facts, not just, hey, this is my own spin on the facts. It's contextual. When you start putting that stuff out there, it's a narrative killer. And of course they don't want to see that. I'm going to give you the opposite of that. So who's the redheaded comedian guy? He's really he's stacked. What's that?
JP Sears.
Yeah. So JP Sears just did he did the fake trans guy that was talking about having his period and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I have almost 1 million views of that video on my page. I don't have anything close to 500,000 on my entire page anywhere that has anything conservative political on it. Not even close. The algorithm on that video in itself, I think, is throwing everybody off, because they actually think it's a trans person and they want people to see it. I think it's screwing them. There is no other explanation for every single video that I posted in the history of my Instagram to not have more than 500,000 views, but that one has almost hit 1 million, and it's only been up for a week. I mean, it's crazy, because you're seeing that guided narrative being pushed out there by state-sponsored media or whoever's paying for the shit, regardless. Yeah, it absolutely is 100% state-sponsored. It absolutely is a narrative killer when you put contextual facts out there. That's why I always try and say, I want you to answer questions in context. Give me a list. I have a favorite question, and we can go down. I have a favorite question that I always ask that I have never gotten the answer to, that absolutely destroys the left narrative from any perspective they can have over there. You guys want to hear it?
Let's hear it.
Okay. So I always have, it's actually 3 questions. The first question is, in the 50 years as a politician, what has Biden done to make your life personally better? And in the 4 years that Trump was president, what did he do to make your life personally worse? And then the third question is, when Trump was president, give me a list of things that were better or worse off than they are right now. Nobody can answer any of those questions. And they can, but the thing is, they'll throw stuff out there like, well, there's no support for Biden being president. It's always, well, Trump did this, and this. And I said, well, tell me how any of those affected you personally. Tell me what they did to affect your life personally. So enough for you to spend all of your time on a social media page. Anyway, I got off on a tangent there. But having said that, nobody can answer those questions. And the reason is because there is no answer to the questions.
Right.
There's not information out there that isn't skewed, that doesn't have a narrative associated with it. When you put it in context, it blows it apart completely. If you want to take it out of context, absolutely, you can spin the narrative however you want to. But when folks like myself and like KSOC, and you as well, and I mean all of us, when we're in there and we're throwing truth out there contextually, They absolutely want to shut it down.
Yeah, and get this. This was next level for me. I've been shadow banned. I've been doing this 2.5 years. I've only not been shadow banned for probably 6-7 months of that time. Just recently, I did get a 90-day ban because of I posted the picture of Hunter Biden with balloons, and he was in his underwear, and they said that I posted a personal nude photo of somebody that was there. So, anyways,
Dave Brown got hit by that too. A lot.
Yeah.
I know that has been in the history of social media. That has
don't
been
mess with Hunter,
biggest,
apparently. But this is next level right here. This is next level. So I am into health, and I shared a health video where this guy is a doctor, and he's talking about how vegetable oils and seed oils are inflammatory, and that is freaking true. It's crap. And they said, nope, that's false. You know, these fact checkers said, no, it's perfectly fine for your body. It's not toxic. So they're even, I mean, it just shows you who they're in bed with. So if anyone produces any production of seed oils or vegetable oils, you have to really track it down. But those companies are now paying Facebook and Instagram to go tag those too. I mean, literally, we're talking about health. That's scary. That was next level for me.
So facts are paid for. It's no longer about facts. And like Ryan was saying, we're a danger because we speak the truth. If you even take away the concept that we know that we are speaking the truth, say that we're still speaking a theory. This is the United States of America, that our truths does have scientific backing. And in some ways, their truths have scientific backing too, especially if you consider that it's paid for. But regardless, let's just talk about two different opinions that could potentially be truth. We should be able to have an open dialogue on this. And the fact that we can't should be enough to take the people like Larry Cox and say, don't you find this suspicious? Oh, no, you're dangerous. How can you state that for a fact without even being able to see my information? You're being told by a paid entity what is right and what is wrong. And I just want to answer Larry's question. This is why I brought it up, or comment. He is answering your question, Ryan, how Biden has been so good. So just notice that his answer completely deflects from anything rooted in reality of current timing. So President Biden's economic plan, are you talking about, Micron, the company, is investing $100 billion over the next 20 years to build America's semiconductor factories. It's the largest investment of its kind ever. So I'll go back to Ryan's point. What does this do for you, Larry? Like, how has this enriched your life today? Like, what is that? How is that?
Is this a legit comment on this string right now?
Yeah, it's a legit comment on the screen.
It's a troll.
I thought that was just another bullshit MSM article that came out to make him look good. Because of Biden's economic plan tell me what in Biden's economic plan that he actually fucking wrote that said that Micron was going to put billions of dollars in investment. And how is that? Yeah, you're right. How is that going to personally affect you? Now tell me, during Trump's but here's another thing. During Trump's 4 years as president, what investments were put into America in that 4 years that immediately affected your personal life in a bad way?
Oh, wait.
Answer that. That's what I'm saying. Answer that question. Like, how can you just support your dude in context facts? Context facts.
First off, I got to say hi to Drew Breezy. Love him to death. Police officer, great guy. Thanks for
your service to community, brother.
Second, Ryan, Larry is about to fuck around and find out, because I'm going to let you take his response. I'm going to put this up on the screen.
Oh my gosh, that's real too.
I want you to take a deep breath, Ryan, and I want you to have fun with this one. His response of something Biden did to make his life better.
This is what I was waiting for.
It says President Biden ended the war in Afghanistan, saving lives and $1 billion a week. Ryan, as a veteran, as who has sacrificed family and love, go for it.
Let me ask you a question, Larry. He had 8 months of intel. He had 8 months of planning. He had 8 months to get that withdrawal done the way that it should be done. Do you honestly think in that 8 months that stumbling, bumbling, mumbling person had the opportunity or the ability to do anything that Trump hadn't already planned in the first place, but fuck it up? The other question that I have for you is this. Did you, since you have respect for him ending the war in Afghanistan, but leaving billions of dollars of equipment behind that, oh, by the way, is now going to, some of it's now going to Russia. Where has the war ended in Afghanistan? And the thing is, the conflict. Where is the conflict ended in Afghanistan? Because we pulled our people out, but screwed over fellow Americans and all the people that helped us over there, and all the women that were fighting for their rights and actually able to go out in public and go to college and advance their lives, and now are being raped and tortured and murdered again under Al-Qaeda. How did Biden end that conflict? Last but certainly not least, I'm going to ask you this question. I have attended my brother's funeral. We both were in Iraq together, and he was killed in action, and I came home to his funeral. My brother-in-law also came home from Afghanistan in a flag-covered casket. 13 times he looked at his watch when those fallen service members passed in front of him. Don't ask me. Don't take my word for it. Contextually, ask the families that were there that confronted him about it, and then went on national television to tell everyone that happened. You're telling me that he did the right thing in Afghanistan. You're telling me that he ended the war in Afghanistan. Tell me how the war is ended in Afghanistan. Tell me how the way that he did it hasn't benefited the guy that everybody is saying is the devil right now, that he's funding a war essentially against, Putin. How that didn't help him out now that he's got all that American equipment. You tell me how he did it right. He didn't. He absolutely did not do it right. And there's a documentary that just came out from the guys on the ground. And I don't know what the name of the documentary is, but it just came out from the guys on the ground that showed just how much they fucked everybody that was over there, how badly they did that. 8 months of planning and 8 months of intel, and that happened. It absolutely shouldn't have. Now, here's another question for you. You tell me your rationalization on this. The name of the general that was killed, that Trump killed by a drone strike that killed more Americans than most other generals that were out there. I see you. If I got to, there it is. Okay, cool. The general that killed more Americans than most generals in, I believe it was the Iraqi army. Was it the Iraqi army that he was in that Trump killed? What was the name of that general?
It wasn't Zakari. No, it wasn't Zakari.
I'm horrible at those names. I got to be honest with you. That's one of
the one that they were like, "How dare he kill this person? It's going to make them incredibly mad and start a war." And
he could have potentially killed some civilians with that drone strike. So what about the drone strike that actually did kill civilians? Then we never heard anything about it from you. Nobody said a thing about that. But you're telling me that he did that right, that he ended the war in Afghanistan. It's now that I put some context to all of it once again, because he happened to be president when we withdrew, everything that happened when we withdrew, you telling me that was a success. You would absolutely be up in arms, screaming at the sky if Trump did any of that, remotely did any of that, because he'd made a drone strike killed one of the most deadly generals that American military service members have ever fought against. And you guys are screaming at the sky. There it is. Yes, Baghdadi. That's it. Thank you so much, Brenda. Appreciate that. I'd be looking up on my computer, but I'm all in this now.
Yeah.
See, the thing is, you have to understand something. You guys can, once again, contextual facts matter. You can take that situation that happened and say, this is the way that it happened, and spin the narrative all you want to. But add the rest of the picture to the situation, and you know you're dead wrong.
So I'm not going to give Tom too much time, because he's been one of my latest trolls on my page, along with one other person that literally is mentally unhinged. But Tom's a little unhinged as well. But it's interesting. I want to show this comment because he says there was a paper that was written about the Afghan withdrawal you ought to look at. Honestly, Tom, there's nothing that you can show me that I'm going to look at, and I'm going to tell you why, because I never say that, because I'll always look at the different stuff. But to tell you how much I trust your intel, you were the person that told me to listen to January 6th statistics, telling me everything that I see from live video, from actual video, from raw footage is incorrect. But the testimony of a police officer saying that there was blood on the ground with the documentary crew there without any video evidence, even though there was a documentary crew, blood on the ground of police officers bleeding out. I'm sorry, I can't take anything you say serious. So that's the amount of energy you're going to get out of us. We're not going to address anymore.
The thing that is that's just laughable to me is how much information we have access to, and how many people are so fucking ignorant out there, and they've got all this information that they could actually look at both sides, look at all the facts, gather as many facts as possible. But Tom, I would be inclined to say, based off of what Anthony just said, I would be inclined to say that the paper that you were reading is the one that you wanted to read and not the one that went against your opinion. That's what I would be willing to say, because I guarantee you that's the case.
And I'm going to ask the crowd on this one, Casey, Kristin, Ryan, and everybody in the audience. If you were to choose, what would be more compelling to take as truth? Would it be testimony that's clearly written, maybe by the person? That it could be by a lawyer, it could be by the person, it could be a collaboration. So testimony or actual footage, video footage. So
hands down.
Kristin, you would think it'd be footage. Ryan?
Both.
Oh, interesting. Casey?
The reason I say both is because it's going to create a much fuller picture with all of the information on it. You could take the good, the bad, and the indifferent and create the truth somewhere in between.
That's very, very valid. So I'm gonna double up that question. At its core, one can be manipulated on the amount of direction of video, but to say something is possibly false, I'm choosing my words correctly. So video footage can be misdirected, but it's actually real footage. Can testimony be made up?
Yeah, absolutely. Contextually, you can take the video, which is exactly what they did for January 6th. They took the video that the video of the guys, there were people that were violent there. They took that video and that's all you saw. You didn't see anything else. Yeah. I post again another perfect contextual video to answer your question, or to be in line with your question. There was a video that was posted at the very beginning when you had clearly Antifa members, skater helmets, black hoodies, backpacks, gas masks. They pulled out blackjacks and started busting out the windows of the Capitol. And the Trump supporters that were there were stopping them. You remember that? They were all in a ball doing, it was like the video was from here. They're all in a ball, including the one kid who was inside that said, "Hey, we did it." And then was with a CNN correspondent.
John Sullivan.
Yeah, so John Sullivan I'm horrible with names, sorry guys, but he was in that group. I posted that video on Facebook. It's like, hey guys, there was violence there, and we all denounced the violence. Nobody agreed with the violence at the time. If police officers are getting, hit, if they're whatever, attacked, all that kind of stuff, nobody agreed with that violence, and that's fine. They were all there to peacefully protest, as Trump told them to do. But that group of people started busting out the windows, and Trump supporters were attacking them and making them stop and saying they're not with us. And that came straight out of the USA chant in the middle of the crowd. All of a sudden, they started busting windows. It was completely out of character of the crowd that was there, but you couldn't see it. And you weren't allowed to watch that video anywhere on social media, because that got me a 90-day ban, that video alone. And the thing is, everybody, if the folks out there want to get the information, the video can be perfect if you're watching it in context with everything else that's happening around. But if you take those slices of video, which, Tucker Carlson opened up a huge can of worms, because he added context to the videos that you were seeing. They never did. The only context they had was that the January 6th protesters were violent, and that was it. That was their context.
Casey, why'd you bring this up?
So he said FBI protecting Antifa now.
Oh, yeah.
Who is this guy, and who was he collaborating with on J6?
Yeah, it's a great answer. Great question.
That is exactly what's happening. Ray Epps, former FBI, or probably still FBI, we never got clear answer, working with Antifa on J6. That's exactly what it is. Yes, Tom.
And I do, like, we talk about the fact that there was weapons there, very little, and there was some hockey. I heard there was barb saw, hockey sticks, there was different things, But you know what's interesting when we see all the different court cases coming down from January 6th, we're not hearing anybody being arrested for having hockey sticks. So where are those people? They know that this was a targeted group that was specifically put there on, this is the conspiracy side, but there was footage of buses and people being dropped off, thousands of dollars of Trump merchandise being thrown on people that because it was not allowed to be shown, or like Ryan said, put up and banned and taken off 90-day bans, nobody got to see it. So what you saw, and people kept saying to me over and over, well, I saw the live footage, which makes me an expert. You saw what news channels who get paid for advertising, who wanted to make the most sensationalized content, showed to you and looped over and over again. If you are too stupid to understand that, there's a certain point where I can't help you anymore.
We'll add to the mix that it is only one side that's being seen. I mean, intelligent people have become really fucking stupid lately. I mean, intelligent people. There's a difference between ignorance and stupidity. Ignorance, you just don't know. Dumb, you're just not smart enough to know what you don't know. And stupid means that you know you're wrong, but you still go with it anyway.
I like that.
Intelligent people have become incredibly stupid lately. And I don't understand how anyone can be on social media, watching what you're seeing on television, and it is a completely one-sided story. And anyone else, all these people that you follow, that you knew, that you know they're telling the truth, that are patriots, that have loved this country, they're posting stuff, and anything they're putting up all of a sudden is a lie or is being taken down, and they're getting banned. That's not even basic common sense when it comes to looking at what's happening around you. The door is open. Walk through it. No, the door is open, but I'm not going to walk through it because someone told me it was closed, and I'm just going to look the other way. So I'm going to sit in this room by myself just being a dumbass. I don't get it. Sorry, guys. I'm a little bit more. You're starting to see my straightforwardness. When I can get on podcasts that I don't have to worry about what I say. I mean, anyway.
I dig it. No, and that was a great response. And I think we're going to be done on Larry after this one, but he used my favorite liberal word, which is debunked. Just like everybody says 2,000 mules was debunked. How is it debunked?
What's been debunked, Larry?
It was debunked.
What has been debunked?
Ryan, you understand? If you're a liberal or if you're a leftist and you say something has been debunked, that means that it's been debunked, period. You don't even have to have any background. It's just been debunked. It's the Pee-wee's word of the day. Debunked.
Well, here's the other question I got for all the liberals out there. Why can't you guys come up with your own freaking words? Like fake news was a conservative word. Snowflake was a conservative word. Triggered was a conservative word. Debunked was a conservative word. Liberals can't come up with their own fucking words.
And now they're wearing Carhartts. What's up with that? You know?
What's that?
Now they're wearing Carhartts, and they're wearing the Justin boots, and just the biggest phonies.
I remember when they started saying that they're more of a patriot than I am. I love that. It's like, you guys aren't patriots. You're enemies of the state. You're terrorists. And then the most shallow, ignorant word that they could potentially use, because they have no idea what it actually means, is calling someone who wants less government given back to the states a Marxist.
Yeah.
Someone who wants control for an individual to make their own personal choices and have the government leave them alone, now is a Marxist. But hey, I'm going to wish death on you if you don't do what the government says and get this fucking vaccination that could potentially kill you.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so living here in Portland, like Portland, keep Portland weird. I know Austin thinks that's theirs. It's not. Keep Portland weird. That's been a thing forever. And it used to be cool because it was actually, I'm not, liberal by any means, never have been, but it was cool because you just had free thinkers, right? And they didn't like large government. They liked small government for the most part. And now over the past 3 years, it's like, what happened to you guys? You were free thinking, anti-government. And now you're just, it's just really sad to see that this hippie mindset that we once had here is full on communism. It's insane. And they don't even realize.
Think about this for a second. Woodstock was nothing but those liberals, and they were all there to celebrate peace, love, and no war. And now it's like every single person on the left is like, Ukraine, Ukraine, Ukraine,
Yes.
start war with Russia. And oh, by the way, now they're meeting with China. And I think that's a good segue into the next subject matter you wanted to talk about.
Let's
Now they want to go to war. Now they want to fund the war.
Xi Jinping. By the way, again, I would love proof. Because, and I do want to say there is a portion of information that we can't say that we're 100% right, but tell us that we're completely wrong on stuff. Just because you read it in a New York Times article that a Trump supporter called in a bomb threat does not make it a fact. Yes, Ryan, we're never going to get off these guys. I know.
Oh, hey, I mean, William, I want to know, like, where's your inside information that it was a Trump supporter? Where's your inside information? What's your source? It's kind of probably the same source that knew that all those classified documents, exactly what were in all those classified documents when you had a 98% redacted FBI memo that went out about why they actually went to Mar-a-Lago. And you guys automatically assume that the president of the United States, the only one with declassification authority for his own stuff, was guilty of having classified information was not supposed to be there. You all knew what was in those classified documents, right? Because your sources on the inside of the FBI were telling you that, right? And that was a Trump supporter that did that. It's amazing to me that we've seen so many things happen, these violent things happen out there in the United States in the last 2 years, and they all seem to end up being Biden supporters. How is that happening?
Larry
Even when you
needs
say
to
it's a
take
Trump
a
supporter.
Paxlovid. Have you seen those commercials? I have COVID and I'm fat. Paxlovid.
Paxlovid. I've got
I have COVID and I have diabetes. Paxlovid.
Put the donut down.
Put the damn donut down.
Paxlovid. I'm like, who came up with that name? Even my son was like, that's stupid. I'm like, I know.
Tell you, if I think Tom's drunk. Debunk the means of crap. I don't know. So I met somebody that worked for Pfizer. He was one of the salespeople, and everybody's like, "Oh, Anthony, go get him." It was at a wedding, and he was actually a conservative. He was a nice guy, and I was like, "So the Paxlovid, kind of like the ivermectin, but with more chemicals." He's like, "Oh no, it's nothing like ivermectin. It's a lot like hydroxychloroquine."
Oh,
so it just costs like 5,000 times more and does exactly the same.
But no, it does worse because it's added more synthetic.
Oh yeah, I got you.
Yeah. And then last but not least, you're right, Larry. Woke is not a conservative word. Awake is, bitch. All right, moving on. We're having a lot of fun tonight. Eric says I like this Ryan Weaver guy. Barbara's been replaced. All right, so we're only going to go over 5 minutes, and we're going to make this quick. Xi Jinping, Putin, right now, and as somebody that has served. We'll ask the questions across the board. Do we see this Russia-China alliance being a big deal from a geopolitical standpoint?
Yeah.
Saudi Arabia, Russia, China. I mean, all of the folks out there that we should be concerned about, even the ones that helped us. North Korea. Everybody's emboldened. Everybody's emboldened because they know we've got a clown show as a clown in chief, as I like to call him. But it's just ridiculous that people can't look around the world right now and see just how fucked up the situation is.
Casey, what do you think? Is this a problem?
Is it a problem? Absolutely. It's a problem. You're allowing two big powers to unite that we always will have conflict with. We will never see eye to eye with them. And so if they join together and start coming together, especially around Ukraine, it's really going to cause a lot of conflict because Taiwan's next. People talk about Poland, but I don't think Poland. I think it will be Taiwan right after.
I don't think it'll be Poland because Poland still has NATO protection. So I think that'd be and I don't think Putin wants world domination. I think he wants the Donbas region and to pick up the pieces and get the fuck out. That's personally what I think.
He wants that southern port because his ports are closed in the winter. He wants that southern port.
And he wants NATO off the border. I think there's some obvious reasons why he did what he did, as much as I do think Putin is also a piece of shit. Strategic reasons for what he did. K-Sock, what do you think in terms of this partnership?
Well, I'm pretty sure they signed a joint declaration today. So that's concerning for sure. I had written down that Russia is very important to China. Like they're like the trade partners. They're very important to each other. And so the fact that we see them meeting and signing this declaration is not good news for us.
What's also interesting about this meeting is when Biden met with Xi Jinping, they only had a 3-hour meeting, which sounds long if you consider the fact that China and Russia are on a 3-day meeting strictly of their leadership. 3 days. So it should be a little bit concerning. Like Xi Jinping, they had a little dinner. Biden shit his pants, and Xi Jinping's like, "Oh, very good to meet you. We promise we won't bomb you. It's fine. It's no big deal." And then now they're BFFing with Putin. Putin's like, motherland. Xi Jinping's like, "Oh yes, you whatever you need. You train. We do a bunch of good things together. Fuck America." And it seems as though this is only happening because one thing is different than 3 years ago, 4 years ago, and that's who's in the presidential office, period.
Bingo.
Absolutely.
Okay. Glad we all agree. All right. With that said, we'll end it. We'll end it with Anthony being racist. All right. So
it reminded me of when that guy, he was Chinese and he goes, "China asshole."
China asshole.
That was one of my favorites.
Mine was always you go now. You've been here for an hour. You eat everything.
Everything.
You eat everything. You asshole.
That was my tribute to Crowder because Crowder is now back. Which again, his show does just such a solid job, and he also broke all records on Rumble. 175,000 live viewers. Like holy shit! Which is to me evidence that there is a gigantic conservative base in this country.
Question.
I would like to see I still to this day want to see the 145 Capitol Police officer injuries. And what did he just say? 5 deaths? Is he talking about police officers? Because there was 0 and Sick Nick died the next day of an unrelated stroke. So anyways, I think, I don't know if Ryan, did you see that other footage that came out of the gas canisters? The reason why the whole approach on the Capitol happened was because the cops had to clear out because dumb fuck number 1. Yep.
He was like, "Oh shit!"
And when
I got a firearm in my hand, and I just pulled the trigger.
Yeah, and it went into this. So that's the beginning of.
They were running from the CS.
And then if they had to get that shit out of their eyes, that counts as an injury. So that has nothing. And there was several. I would say at least 50 police officers that cleared out of that way. So that's your random number of 150. And to be honest, I didn't even see 250 police officers. So you're going to tell me more than half got injured? Shut the fuck up.
So
all right.
Which guy was it? Alex or dumb shit number 1 or dumb shit number 2?
It was Larry.
Larry. Okay.
Oh yeah. I talked about that many police officers that day.
There's more police officers at Portland Walmart.
Were you there, Larry? Did you see it happen, Larry? What is your source, Larry? We have the FBI that already said that everything that happened that day that was violent was planned months and months in advance and had nothing to do with the people there. We had tens of thousands of Trump supporters guarantee you that 3/4 of them, if not 90% of them, have concealed carry permits. If they wanted to viciously attack the Capitol building, they could have and would have. But that's not what happened. The video that just came out showed you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. There's so much more that happened on the ground there, and everything you're putting out there right now is out of context facts that were fed to you by the media that's bought and paid for by the people that want you to hear what you're saying and continue to parrot it. It's ridiculous how, once again, even if you are intelligent, you actually can write a sentence. So I'll give you have some intelligence there, how you can be so fucking stupid.
So I'm going to end my last statement on this. So this statement is a perfect example. No, this is a good teaching moment for everyone. So the back the blue concept, you say accept the Capitol Police. I get what you're saying. And to be honest, there was many people that day that were yelling bad things at the police officers. As somebody that was there, shout out to my FBI officer. If he's watching, I know once in a while he does. He's a big Kelly Allen barrel racing fan. And I do like the guy. Can't wait for him to retire so him and I can talk. Moving on from that, there are many conservatives, most, I would say almost all, know that there are some bad police officers. There's also police officers that are listening to the wrong orders. But as a whole, This day is a perfect example of, yes, we were not happy with the police response. The question becomes, this can be flipped in the opposite direction, the exact same way. So do you completely ignore what happened to the police officers during the BLM riots, Summer of Love, that existed, threatening their careers, their livelihood, their lives every day, including some deaths, that the ones that were charted as they weren't deaths according to fact checks is because they didn't happen right where there was the riot that day. Like, they don't include David Dorn because that was a looting situation, not part of the parading. So across the board, this is the perfect evidence that there is two sides to every story. And yes, you are right. We were probably too rude to the police that day. But at the same time, as Ryan said, it could have been a lot worse. I'm going to wrap myself up there. And then, Ryan, I know you want to respond to that, and then we'll have everybody say their goodbyes.
Well, the last thing I'll say about January 6th is you had billions of dollars in damage, thousands attacked, and dozens murdered in the Summer of Love prior to, and we heard crickets from the left demonizing police, all that kind of stuff. But then you get get a couple jackasses on January 6th that do the wrong thing, that aren't conducting themselves in the way the vast majority of that crowd was conducting themselves, and they do the wrong thing, and all of a sudden you back the police when it comes to someone who you don't agree with politically. You can't have it both ways. You either have your faux outrage about January 6th, or you have complete outrage about everything that happened in the Summer of Love and January 6th when it came to the violence. But you take everything in context and realize we didn't burn our own communities to the ground. We didn't attack each other and other people because they disagreed with us politically. None of that stuff happened. And oh, by the way, I wasn't there. I was driving up from Alabama when I was hearing it all go on. But I was still called a sexist, misogynist, racist, bigot, and a terrorist to this country, even though I served my country for 21 years and buried 2 of my family members. I don't need to hear any kind of that full outrage from any of you fuckers out there. You need to get your heads on straight. I'll finish with that.
Holla.
Amen.
All right, I'm gonna let you guys do your mic drop at the end here. Real quick, guys, reminder at the bottom of the page, greatamericansummit.com. If you're in the Dallas area or even close and want to come into this summit, it's a combination of business, patriotism, purpose, all of the above. We've got phenomenal speakers, phenomenal musical talent. It's going to be a blast, and we need all the support we can because we're about 8 weeks out. So Patriots, please support us. Go to greatamericansummit.com. If you can't go and you want to buy a ticket for a veteran and donate it, please do reach out to me. Just buy the ticket, tell me your name, etc. We hope to see you guys there. As Ryan said, if anybody wants to be a musical sponsor for Ryan and his band, you just heard how big of a badass he was on this episode. If that didn't sell it, and you can even check out his music because it's just as badass, just reach out to Ryan on his Instagram, and he'll make sure to put us in touch and figure it all out. His Instagram's at the bottom of the page right there. Guys, go ahead and let's start with KSOC. Go ahead.
Yeah. All right. Well, I appreciate everyone's time here. If you want to follow me, I have an ask of you, actually. I just started a leadership podcast with a best-selling author, and it is called The Dirty Side of Leadership. We go there. We are outspoken. We go there. It's a little political, but it's also for leaders and people who are striving to be a leader. So if you could follow us, we're found wherever you get your podcasts. It's The Dirty Side of Leadership. And then I also have my weekly show, KSOC Uncensored, and that's on ramtv.live. And that is every Thursday. And I have a great guest every Thursday, and we dive into all things politics, policy, current events.
And we'll have Ryan do the final mic drop. So Casey, go for it.
Yeah, I don't know how I end with anything other than what Ryan just slammed on Larry. So thank you guys for joining on. But that was fantastic. But just ending with pay attention locally what's going on in your states. Absolutely pay attention. We have actually had one of the best legislative sessions we had in Utah history this last year. This last 45 days or so, because it just ended. And it was because active engagement. Some people in Utah are mad because we're changing our flag, but that's for other people to deal with. But outside of that, pay attention locally. You can make changes there. Federally is much harder. Stay and deal with your communities and grow your communities. That's where your power is.
Love it. Ryan.
For folks out there listening that don't know who I am, we love doing concerts. We'll blow the roof off the place. I also, as a motivational speaker, talk a lot about my story, my background. You guys can find all that information at ryanweaver.net. I appreciate you guys hanging here with me dropping F-bombs left and right. But obviously I've seen what a lot of folks would never want to see, which is your own family member come home in a flag-covered casket. And this country means everything to me. Being a right kind of patriot that loves this country for what this country stands for and what this country is about, the ability to chase your dreams in these great United States of ours. That's what I represent, and I hope you all will too.
I love it. My last thing, just for everybody to get a laugh on the way out of here, I have to share this. So there's this guy that is just obsessed. So Liberty Dove, I've been sharing like some of these things, and I love when he does the whole comments. He was talking about Trump's wineries, but this is last hour. This is by the minute. And then he talks about me having mental illness, which I find so ridiculously funny. Like, you can't, I want to know who this is. Like, this is just, look at this.
Wow.
That is not okay. Do we need to get this guy checked on or what?
Yeah.
No, that is okay. That helps the traction and the engagement in your posts. It is okay.
As long as he doesn't have your address.
That's why I said is there a big, this guy said, is there a bigger scam than a motivational speaker? I guess if you got off your couch and stopped eating Cheetos and having your mom pay for your cell phone bill, you probably would understand why it isn't.
And Ryan, while you're at it, make sure you say hi to the artist formerly known as Troy, aka Trey, for me. I always love him. I called him by the wrong name for a full calendar year. Awesome. Oh, I'm a dick. All right, guys. This has been Truth Will Set You Free. Thanks as always. If you like the gear, by the way, you got new Awake Not Woke hats coming out hopefully in the next 2 weeks. God bless. Godspeed. Have a fantastic rest of your Tuesday, because Truth Tuesday is up. Oh, wait, hold on. Wait. Oh, there it is. We do have many of the Wake hats too. I love it.
I got mine.
I had to give Trey his for free once I found out I've been calling him Troy the whole damn time. I'm an idiot. Take it easy, guys.
Bye.